Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am the Omni viewer, and I'm here with some really big news regarding the MonsterVerse. In particular, Godzilla King of the Monsters 2019. Principal photography for the film officially began on June 19th. But that's not really the interesting part. What's interesting is that we finally have a plot synopsis. Of a sort. This is what has been officially released by Warner Brothers. The news story follows the heroic efforts of the cryptozoological agency Monarch as its members face off against a battery of god-sized monsters, including the mighty Godzilla, who collides with Mothra, Rodan, and his ultimate nemesis, the three-headed King Ghidorah. When these ancient superspecies, thought to be mere myths, rise again, they all vie for supremacy, leaving humanity's very existence hanging in the balance. So, first and foremost, as if the stinger from Kong Skull Island wasn't enough, this does officially confirm that Mothra, Rodan, and King Ghidorah are all appearing in this particular film. But we've been assuming that anyway, so that's not really news per se. Heck, our first real confirmation of that was the stinger from Kong Skull Island. I'm more concerned with how this is worded. Most of us have been assuming up to this point that since this film has the same roster as Ghidorah the three-headed monster, it would probably wind up playing out very similarly. By the end, Godzilla, Rodan, and Mothra would team up against King Ghidorah. This notion, of course, was reinforced by how both Godzilla and Kong Skull Island introduced the idea that there are good monsters and bad monsters. But the wording of this synopsis implies to me that there's not such a clear distinction between good and evil in this film. It states Godzilla will clash with all three of these monsters. Now, there are two ways this could play out. The first way is very similar to what we saw in Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, where Godzilla, Rodan, and Mothra start out as enemies but ultimately have to unite against the greater threat. However, there's a second possibility. It could be that all three of them are Godzilla's enemies right through to the end. And what we'll be getting isn't a 3-on-1 battle, but potentially a 4-way battle. Or perhaps Godzilla will be fighting each of them in succession, building up to fighting Ghidorah. Which one is most likely to happen? Flip a coin, I don't know. However, if that second possibility is true, it might explain why the movie is titled Godzilla King of the Monsters. Think about it. What better way to prove that Godzilla is the most powerful monster of all than to have him defeat his three greatest opponents all in one movie? Again, like I said, I don't know which would be the case. And if my previous speculation that Rodan and Mothra could get their own spin-offs turns out to be true, I don't think they're going to be villainized. Heck, if they did villainize Mothra, that would be a wildly different interpretation. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Also worth noting is how the plot synopsis makes it very clear that the monsters are fighting for control, and Monarch is just trying to deal with it. This tells me that, once again, the monsters are going to get the lion's share of the action. Also worth noting, this officially confirms that King Ghidorah will indeed have 3 heads. So much for that realism people keep saying the MonsterVerse indulges in. I really need to address that at some point. Anyway, that's the really big news so far. Not only is Godzilla King of the Monsters filming, but we have a plot synopsis, vague though it may be. What do you think? Do you think Godzilla, Rodan, and Mothra are going to team up, or do you think they'll be enemies through to the end? Is this plot synopsis too vague, or just vague enough? Are you hoping Rodan, Mothra, and maybe King Ghidorah survive this movie to trash the world another day? Feel free to leave your thoughts below. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer, signing off.